Hey y'all, welcome back. And if you're new here, my name is Rebecca with Ornate Girl at Heart, and today we'll be making a cookbook stand slash riser. I found these wooden pieces at a yard sale, and I think I paid $1 for each set of those. They were in a baggie, and I'm going to cut the ones. I was just showing you how I was going to cut them to make them into feet, and then I'm also going to make a rail at the top. I got these bamboo cutting boards at the Dollar Tree, and here I'm showing you I cut off the top part and I cut off the little bottom part so it'll sit flat. And then the other wooden piece, I left the bottom part because we're going to sink that down into the cooking cutting board. And then I cut off the top part as best as I could. It was really hard to cut through those. So I'm going to sand down the top of it and kind of round it off the best I can. I also got the wooden skewers at the Dollar Tree as well. I picked up these hinges at Hobby Lobby. They were only like 99 cents, so not too bad. I don't have a Hobby Lobby near me, so when I go back home to our childhood home, I visit the one there. So I did pick these up in preparation for this project. This first bamboo piece, I'm going to cut out a kind of like a square, and I'm going to drill a hole because I'm going to jigsaw this square out. That is going to be like my easel to one of the bamboo boards, and it's going to be attached by the hinge, and you can open it because the easel will sit down into this empty space. You'll see in the end what I mean. But I want it to collapse away when I don't want to use the easel cookbook part of it, and I can collapse it away and it'll be a riser. So this is what it'll look like on the inside of the cookbook stand. That hinge will attach on the top piece and it will fold down inside. And I'm just learning how the hinge works, so I'll make sure that I attach it the correct way. I'm going to draw a line so I know where to put my hinge. I will be making pilot holes in this so that the screws do go down in there. Unfortunately, I did not get it deep enough because I ended up on both sides of this hinge. I ended up having two screws break, and I think it's because I didn't get it deep enough, the pilot hole. So I do put a little glue on there, and eventually I do go back and I do put screws in. I don't put a screw in every single hole, but at least two per hinge. Here I have those two boards that I was working with. I've got the bottom board that has the cutout, and then the top board is where the easel part will attach. I ended up setting it to the side there. I haven't attached it completely. And I've got those two pieces taped together, and now we're working on the railing. I want to drill out holes in this section because I want the dowels to go down in there, and it needs to be able to hold up a cookbook. Here I'm going through my drill bits to get a size that's just a tiny bit bigger than the hole, tiny bit bigger of a hole than I need for the piece, so that I can sit it down in there with glue and it fits snug. Now for the skewer, I want the railing to go across. So the middle piece needs to have a hole directly all the way through it. And I'm trying to figure out what's, measurement I want to go at. I only have just a little bit of room and I want them all to be the same. So I ended up just eyeballing it, just holding up that skewer stick and seeing exactly where I need to make my mark to drill that hole. And so, like I said, the first one will be all the way through. And then the two on the ends only need to be just a little bit, about halfway through. Don't go all the way through. Now, here is where I made a mistake. I had drilled the hole because the bottom of that is really long. So where I drilled the hole, I drilled through the second board, which I had planned on doing, but I did not think about the glue going through, the dowel going through, that I would not in the end be able to lift it up because that's going to be glued together. So I end up realizing that and removing my tape, and you'll see all the glue that was not going to lift, right? All that glue. Nope. So instead of that piece on the bottom having holes in it that didn't go all the way through, by the way, on the other side, I decided to flip it. So now those holes are going to be hidden on that bottom. I want the top bamboo to have the holes to put this in. But now what I need to do to that board is to cut off those dowels that's sticking out, which I'll show you what that looks like in a bit. So I let that glue dry on the railing, and then I will take my oscillating tool and I'll cut off those pieces. So here is where the holes were. So I decided just to flip it over, and now you can't see those holes, thank goodness. So now I'm going to glue those two boards together. Those two boards is just a little bit of thickness to give to our riser. So when the riser is complete in the end, it'll be 3 bamboo boards together. The bottom board will have nothing cut out of it. The second board will have the square, and then the top board has the railing. So the two boards that we just glued together, I am turning it over, and I'm going to go ahead, because this needs to sit overnight and dry. I'm going to go ahead and glue on the feet so they will be good to go the next day. So I use a little bit of my Tite Bond in the middle, and then I use hot glue around the edge. And this is the next day, and both of those pieces are dry. I am removing the tape from the railing, and you can see where I sanded off those ends of those wood pieces. And now I'm going to hot glue the hinges on the bottom piece, but I will come back with screws later after I get all this glued together. And then I will glue the top on to where it needs to go. And when I put the top on, I'm just making sure it all lines up nice and holding down pressure. And then we will open it up. This is what it looks from the front. You can see the two hinges. And now I'm making a wider view so you can see. So you can see that top board lifts up. And there's our little easel. This is as far as it opens with the size of easel that I cut out. But if you wanted yours to be much taller, you could cut out more of the board. And now that it's done, you can design it however you want. I'm going to stain it with this gel stain. You can paint this if you'd like. So I'm going to stain mine. When I was making this, I wasn't sure how I was going to go. But if you plan on staining it, I would recommend staining the boards prior to building it, because it was very difficult to get around the railing here. And where I had put glue in, it kind of left little splotches. You can see the right behind the middle one there. And as I continued, I had a few more splotches. I don't know if it was glue or what it was, but this will keep, if you do it first, this will keep you from having problems. So, but eventually we do fix it and make it look good. I will add a second coat as well as stain the railing and the feet. This part is not necessary, But where two of the boards that we glued together, I'm going to add this casting clay. It's air dry clay by Doss, and I've got this mold by IOD Iron Orchid Designs, if you've not heard of them. And I'm going to press it down and make castings and cover up where those two boards meet. And it just gives it a little bit more detail. I love adding ornate style to items, decor items in my home. So I did a test on some air dry clay that I had laying in my drawer, and I wanted to see how it was going to accept the stain, and it did not do well on its own. It needed to be painted, and because of the bamboo was a light color, I decided to paint my castings with this Beachcomber beige, and that will kind of mimic the color of the bamboo. And when I did the test piece, it worked out really well. It held the stain. And I will show you that in a little bit here. So these are still wet, these castings, so I don't want to press too hard because it can mess up my design. So I'm doing it very easily, and I usually let it dry on its own, not too long, because it needs to stay wet because it needs to fold around the piece that you're doing. So I do use my hair dryer just to, dry just the paint part so I can touch it and install it onto the riser. So here is the front part view, and it doesn't look bad, but look, this looks so good already, just adding that little bit of detail. So I'm going to glue it on while it's still wet and get that to dry, and I will come back and put a layer of stain on top of it. And it ends up taking 2 coats of stain. I like decorating with gold, so I'm going to make these look like they're brass, even though they're not. Um, but I do like the gold accents. And if you don't like that, you can just leave it the way it is. And here is my test piece. You can see the darker side, that's with the beige paint, and the other side was with nothing. And that is why I decided to use this beige paint. I added 2 coats of stain to the clay trim, and then I let that dry. I didn't add anything else. Usually I highlight it with gold, but I decided just to leave the real gold. And this is the finished look as a riser. And whenever you need to use it to hold your cookbook, you just remove the items and pull it out. Would this make a great gift for Mother's Day, Christmas, birthday? I think it would be a great project to do. And this is what it will look like with your cookbook on it. Please let me know what you think down below. Will you be making a cookbook stand / riser? Please like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already. And I will see you next time.